Coming up, we're going to review Disney's new movie, Coco.
And we're just un poco loco for the movie. Welcome back to Eye Disney Through Our Eyes. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Jessica.
And we're going to be talking about the brand new Pixar film from Disney. There's so many from Disney.
I'm very confused.
It's like Disney by Pixar by who know what. Well, anyway, it's Coco. We're going to be talking about this brand new film that has been a box office hit. And personally, I know we'll get to our rankings at the end, our rating review of it. The hype on this thing,
it's worth it.
Is definitely worth it. So let's talk about some initial thoughts. What's the first thing when I ask you about Coco that comes to mind from this movie?
Like the vivid colors.
Yeah.
I think like just the landscapes. I know it's an animated feature, but like the view of, the cities and just the music. It's just a really vivid film. And obviously I've never been to Mexico. I don't think you have either. So I don't know if it's an accurate representation, but I do know Disney's very good about going to locations to find out how realistic they can make it in an animated. Granted, I don't know that we can make whatever they call that land where the dead hangs out accurate since we're all alive, so we've never been there.
Well, I'm just thinking of the actual town in Mexico where Miguel and his family live. I felt like that was a very good representation. It seemed not dirty, but just very, humble type of living areas that you might see for a shoemaking family. Not that the shoemaking business is not lucrative. I'm sure it is.
Because obviously they're doing very well for themselves.
I was about to say, So that's a little bit of a hint into this movie. If you are wondering what his family's all about, they're shoemakers. Way back in the day, back to his great grandparents. The great grandfather left for a music career and never came back. And the great grandmother, because of that, was resentful towards music, her great grandfather, and it was passed down all the way to Miguel that you are not supposed to have anything to do with music. Sounds like, some people like nowadays that like just nix music altogether. Like, I'm not a musical person, but I don't know how I'd get by without at least a little bit. Days. I don't know. You love playing piano and stuff, so I don't think you'd be able to make it at all.
No.
So speaking of, before we get into more of the plot, the music overall, what'd you think?
I thought it was decent. It was catchy.
It was catchy.
It was typical Disney. Like, it's gonna get stuck in people's heads.
Well, I really like the two songs that we remember. Remember Me is the main one that is played constantly.
That's what I'm saying. It's like burned into your brain. You're kind of like, get out, get out, get out.
Well, and they play it as a kind of an upbeat version in the very beginning, and that's how we kind of get to know the song. But then at the end, the true essence of the song is played in a much more slow fashion and very more
like a ballad.
More like a ballad, and I think that's where you truly get the essence of that song here. Yeah. Also, kind of like I referenced in the intro, Un Poco Loco was just a fun song between Miguel and one of the skeleton characters, Hector, who we'll talk about in just a second. So pretty much beyond this point, we're talking spoilers, so do not watch past beyond here.
Granted, it is a Disney movie, so major plot points are not going to be
ruined. I don't know about that.
Well, I'm just saying, it's not like if somebody ruined The Dark Knight for you.
Come on, man. You don't want to know the twist behind this, because
there was a twist.
It was, and I was surprised because I thought going into this movie, I knew what was going to happen, obviously.
So before Kyle goes on a rant, we think that Miguel's grandfather is Ernesto de la Cruz, who is this fantastic musical genius from back in the day. He's got a whole shrine to himself. His guitar it's on display in Mexico City, and so everything. I'm assuming it's Mexico City, right? Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know.
In the city that they're in Mexico.
I don't think it's Mexico City. That was too small of a town to be it. So.
I thought it was like the outskirts.
No, I don't. Anyway.
Moving on. So somehow Miguel, he's got this picture of his great-great-grandmother on the ofrenda. And
which is where they put all their pictures for their deceased family members so that they can come visit them on Dia de los Muertos. I made it. I said it. I was trying to pronounce that like before we started recording, and it was not going well. So Dia de los
Stop. Just stop. You should have stopped while you were ahead.
Anyway, so that's...
Moving on. So he knocks the picture off the ofrenda, and come to find out that there was another person on the back of the picture, and it was his grandfather, or his great-great-grandfather, but somebody had taken the face off of it. So all you see is this tall man holding a guitar.
With this, it looks like a skull kind of thing on the head of the guitar. Is that what you call it? On the top of the...
I don't play guitar.
Yeah, I don't know either.
So, so Miguel assumes that his great-great-grandfather is, or what's his name?
Ernesto de la Cruz.
So, anywho, he decides that he has to play music just like his great-great-grandfather did, and that he has, he's got this whole setup in, up in the attic, and he's playing music even though he's not allowed to. Yeah,
and so basically what happens is he goes to steal the guitar from Ernesto de la Cruz's tomb, and to play in a... what I guess you call it a talent show in the...
Yeah, I guess so.
And what happens is when you steal something from the dead, you get cursed and you basically are transported to the...
Is that why?
Yeah, you...
Oh, I thought it was because that was like his legacy. I thought that was his namesake's guitar.
They said that when he finally meets his actual deceased family members, his great-great-aunts, uncles, cousins, whoever, and grandmother... we find out that when you steal from the dead...
Yeah, it was a little confusing.
Yeah, you steal from the dead...
Goes into the dead world.
Yeah.
Whatever that's
called. But he's still living, but if he doesn't get back by sunrise...
he will die.
Well, it's not like he dies, he just stays there and he's a skeleton forever.
Well, hence you die.
Well, that's very true.
Because you won't be alive anymore, so...
But to quickly wrap up just our summary so we can talk about some of our favorite things from it. Basically, he meets up with this guy named Hector, who we later find out...
Who Hector is really unlovable.
And he's unlovable.
Yeah, at the beginning, he looks like a creep. Like, he's trying to become Frida Kahlo so that he can get into the living world. Like, he
to get his picture on an offerenda so he won't be forgotten.
Right, but it just looks like he is some little scumbag lowlife. And so then Miguel gets wrapped up with Hector, and we're like, oh my gosh, he's bad news, stay away. Turns out Hector's his great-great-grandfather, not Ernesto de la Cruz.
And I
was real shocking.
So that was the twist, is that his great-grandfather was Hector, not de la Cruz. I thought the twist was going to be that de la Cruz wasn't in the land of the dead at all. Like, he had already disappeared, and there was going to be some kind of twist on how...
Oh, no, you knew people wouldn't forget him.
Well, I just didn't know, because you kept seeing all these images of him, statues, everybody's, talking about him, but you never saw him. And even when Miguel got into that big ball... you didn't see him until like the very end of him walking around. I was like, he's not alive, or he's not dead alive anymore.
Yeah, because they said that, which was interesting to me. I didn't realize this, that in the Mexican culture, that if you don't put somebody's picture on your ofrenda and you forget them, they're gone. Mm-hmm. They're not in that world anymore, so they can't come back and visit you on... I can't say it.
Dia de los Muretos. We did it! We did it! We learned Spanish.
So, no,
not really.
We did not.
Took 2 years of Spanish. I can barely
moving on.
Speak anything.
So it was really interesting to kind of see those cultural references and the truth behind them of what people believe. Yeah. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was really an interesting cultural perspective there, and I really did like. So with the twist, and then you learn that Coco, Miguel's great-grandmother, the namesake for the movie, is Hector's daughter. Mm-hmm. And so she's the last one that truly remembers him, and as she's getting close to dying, or she's forgetting, going, just I guess Alzheimer's, I guess is what we would assume,
or just old age,
just forgetting him, he's starting to disappear. And so we have this really, at the end of it, like I'm gonna be honest, I got a little teary-eyed, I got a little misty
for some cartoon character.
Look, when the little girl and her dad started singing Remember Me Together. Woo! That was close. I almost broke down a little bit.
I married a moron.
I'm surprised you didn't get a little teary-eyed too.
I don't get teary-eyed over things that are drawn on a computer screen.
It was like...
It'd be different if these were real humans acting this out.
Now, I'm going to say this, though. The lady next to us, I don't know if you heard her, she was bawling over there. Like, she was...
What is wrong with people?
Like, she was... I could just hear her, that kind of thing. I was just like, oh, God, this is hitting me. But anyway, I love...
You know what hit me? When we find out that De La Cruz really killed Hector.
Oh, that was...
on purpose.
This was a very real animated movie. Like, you had death.
It was intense.
Yeah, like you had De La Cruz, when he died, was crushed by a bell. And then he poisoned his best friend, Hector, so he could keep...
Before he died, obviously.
Before he died, yes. But then he tried to kill him while he's dead by making him disappear, making people
Right.
forget him. So it was just a very like real, you know.
It was intense. Now, granted, I did think that the movie drug on for a while. The plot was it was the same. Once Miguel met Hector and they were trying to get Hector's picture back to real life, and they were trying to get Miguel back over the bridge thing. It was really dragging on.
And that's probably...
They'd meet De La Cruz, then De La Cruz would do something bad. Then they'd meet him again, and then he would try to poison somebody. Then they'd meet him again, and they threw him in the rock pit. And then they'd meet him again, and I was like, okay, we've met him 6 times. Either Miguel's going to get back to Mexico or not. So let's pick a side.
Well, luckily he does make it back to his family, and he does get Hector's picture on the offerenda, and he gets Coco
to
remember her dad, which is a very sweet moment when she says, "I actually have saved this picture." That's the one thing that gets her back to remembering things. And sadly, she does die a year later. We see.
Well,
sadly but happily, she dies a year later. So I got to be honest. This movie is going to be really high up when we do our end of the year movie review.
Really?
Yes, it's
like Beauty and the Beast high, Star Wars
Beauty
high.
and the Beast may have gotten bumped down with all the great
From
movies.
Coco?
Wow.
I mean, I enjoyed Coco. Don't get me wrong, but I wasn't Coco Loco like you.
You mean un poco loco? Come
No,
on,
I mean Coco
let's
Loco.
use the Spanish we learned in this movie.
Here's what I learned. Dante is the dog.
It was funny. You love Dante?
I love Dante. He was the comic relief that I needed when all y'all were crying, little puppy dog.
I wasn't
tears over
crying.
there.
I just got a little misty-eyed, okay?
Feelings are like treasures, best kept buried.
Anyway, we learned that Dante is also one of these mythical creatures that help guide souls to the land of the dead as well.
For real?
Don't you remember him turning all colorful and he got wings and stuff like that?
I just thought that's because he died.
He didn't die. He's just one of the... I can't even... It's like...
Alhambra,
something. Trust me, we don't need to keep trying to pronounce things.
It looks like the electrical lights parade at Disney World.
Sure, why not?
They did. You know the little things at the electrical parade?
Well, all right.
So,
I did love Dante. We even learned that the big creature that was chasing them throughout that was like a jaguar with wings. It was actually can go back to the land of the living and be a cat as well. So.
When did we learn that?
Were you asleep at the end of this movie?
I got a little bored.
Oh my gosh. So Jessica doesn't have a heart is what we've learned here.
No, I have a heart for humans, for alive people, not things that are drawn.
You're alive in our hearts. Remember me. I would quote the lyrics to you, but I don't know them yet.
They're in Spanish.
Anyway, let's come up with our rating for this movie. We got to come up with something that represents.
We have to go back to... So the cat becomes a human cat? Or like a little animal cat?
He becomes a real cat.
For real?
For real? For real?
For real? That's what that cat was?
Yeah.
Oh. I missed that.
You missed that one really bad.
Well, there were children in the theater. They probably missed it too.
They probably did. Speaking of which, there is a very adult reference twice in this movie that's not that well veiled. And obviously little kids aren't going to get it, so just be aware.
I was freaked out. It wasn't that
It wasn't freaking out. I was like, wow, this is obvious. Anyway.
No, it wasn't. It's fruit.
Leave it at that. Come up with a rating system. What do you think?
Okay, out of 5 guitars.
5 guitars. Okay, we'll go with it. 5 guitars, what do you have?
I'll give it a 3.
I
enjoyed it. I'm giving it a high rating than 50%. I enjoyed it. I just...
I can't even deal with you right now.
It's not something that I would see again, but it was good. And it was, like I said, it was nice to see the cultural references and hear the music because I love music. But it was just very monotonous and the plot just kept going and going. And it could have ended... It could have been a Disney short.
I'm dying a little on the inside right now. 5 guitars. Well done, Disney and Pixar. If you can get me a little misty-eyed, you've won me over.
But this is why we make a good team. And this is
right.
what Disney and Pixar want. They want people on both sides of the spectrum. Not everybody's going to love every movie. I enjoyed it. I'm happy we went to see it. I just wouldn't purchase it. How about that?
We're going to purchase them.
I know you will, but I'm just saying I wouldn't.
Oh my gosh. We're going to have a discussion off camera after this. Anyway, before this gets any more heated in debate about this movie. We want to know what you guys think about Coco. If you've seen it in the comments.
If you're Coco Loco.
If you've seen it, in the comments section below, please let us know your thoughts about the movie. What else should they do?
Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and you can check us out on Facebook.
That's all we have for you tonight, but until next time, we'll see you real soon.
Bye. We're gonna review the movie Coco.
I forgot what I was going to say.